What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast happy hour hoops. Steve is back from NOLA. Jake and I back on the mic. We are doing a Tuesday pod tonight instead of Thursday this week. So thank you all for tuning in a little early with us this week. Lots to get to here. Steve's first time talking Luka since the big trade went down, and a whole bunch more because the NBA just stays bringing the news, stays bringing the drama, and we have all of that. But before we get into that, how we doing, fellas?
Feeling good. Feeling good. Been good. It was a great. Listen, Steve, you had a great time in New Orleans. We just
I
kind of
did.
talked about that. I had a great
Yep.
time watching the football game in New Orleans Sunday, and now it is official. The world is set. We got the Larry Ob in the background because eyes are on the prize. The next thing up, we got the Stanley Cup. We got the NBA Finals on our minds. The next two major sports still happen. I don't know which happens first. They're right around the same time, but for the purpose of this show, eyes on the prize. The Larry OB's up next, and have such an interesting race to the NBA Finals this year in both conferences. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for all. Honestly, I'm ready for All-Star Weekend to be over and for us to be like on the road to the playoffs here.
Yeah, I know we haven't had too much time to talk since the post deadline, and obviously I have a lot of thoughts about one of the big trades that happened. But we'll get to that later. The NBA had one of the biggest shakeups I remember in recent memory, and there's so many kind of enticing teams now. There's so many teams where there are a lot of teams that are kind of going for it that I didn't expect to go for. A lot of roster shakeups and a lot of players who have kind of been under the radar. And next thing you know, it's like, wow, you've gotten your team in a playoff position. I mean, we talked about how Anthony Edwards was, kind of not really stepping up this year necessarily, kind of keeping even. He feels like he's scoring 40 every night now. It's really gotten crazy. These guys are putting up video game box scores every single night. And I'm excited to see how this playoff race kind of lines up because unlike last year where I kind of felt pretty good about who was coming out of both conferences. I know last year I was dead set Celtics in the East, and the West was for me Thunder or Mavs until the Mavs made the deal, and then I was like, all right, I'm going in on the Mavs. I feel like it's kind of wide open in almost both conferences where if you asked me last year, I think I would have been able to pick one team from each and be like, I guarantee at least one of these teams is going to be there. This year, I don't feel as confident. And I think that speaks volumes for how much talent is in the NBA right now. And not only that, just how up and down some of these teams have been playing, where it's like one week you're like, oh, this is by far the best team in the league or in the conference. And then the next week you're like, whoa, like look what the Nuggets are doing right now, for example, something like that. So I'm excited. I can just give you one guarantee that the Mavericks will not be one of those teams that will be there at the end of the conference. We'll get to that because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we sure do. I like that. I always enjoy talking about the talent that we have in this league, and just how incredible it is on a night-to-night basis. Like I tweeted from our account earlier this morning, three guys just had the most casual 40-point games you'll see on just a Monday night in the NBA.
Yeah.
But DeMar DeRozan, Jokic, and Anthony Edwards, like you mentioned, in a loss, I might add, had 44 points, 40 for Jokic, 42 for DeRozan. And this is something that just happens every night in this league now. And it is talented. I agree. Even though they may look top heavy in the standings, I think both the East and West, if you ask most people who watch the NBA, that they'll have their thoughts on who they think is going to make it, but I think ultimately we don't really know, and that's why this part of the NBA season is so exciting. So let's get into the news and notes here. Starting with some injuries, which is never fun, but Anthony Davis, new member of the Dallas Mavericks, injured or has an adductor strain in his first game as a Dallas Maverick after, posting historic numbers in the first half. So just kind of a double whammy there for Mavs fans. The silver lining, Kyrie Irving will replace Anthony Davis in the All-Star game. Jake, I know you kind of mentioned it. Who really cares about All-Star weekend right now? Because I know we've talked about it a little earlier in the season. we don't really like the format with the 3 teams. Adam Silver keeps talking about he's trying to improve it.
Hold on. Do you like it more now though that they just rigged it to make it old guys, young players, and international players?
What, the draft?
Yeah.
I mean, Kenny had maybe the worst draft I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so obvious what they were doing.
It was so terrible, bro. Then they put Donovan Mitchell with all the international players. They're like, let's throw him off the set. Let's put Donovan Mitchell on their team. Like, what are we doing here? This is crazy. But anyways, I just thought that was hilarious that they like rigged it. Not at least we see the vision now, I guess. But jeez.
Yeah, no, it's that the draft was silly. Silver keeps talking about how he's, trying to find ways to improve it. I don't think they have it this year, but I hope I'm wrong. Kyrie's AD's replacement in the All-Star game, and that goes to our next, little note here in the news and notes. Giannis Antetokounmpo with a calf strain expected to return shortly after the All-Star break, so that means he's missing All-Star as well, and Trae Young will be his replacement. I believe this is the second year in a row that Trae Young fans thought he was snubbed and then gets in as an injured replacement. So Trae Young will be an All-Star. And Jake, I think your brother tweeted this at us yesterday, and I didn't have an answer for him.
Oh God.
Do you guys know how this works? Like, are the replacements just going straight to those respected teams that the guy got drafted to?
I probably is the way that works. Yeah.
Because
so now Trae Young's with the international team.
It would have to be, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
And who knows? Maybe AD, whatever team AD was on, maybe they don't.
I think Kyrie, he was on the LeBron, Steph, Durant team. I think.
Okay,
so,
I think the Jays is that Shaq's team?
Yeah.
I think so.
I believe Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are on that team as well. Anyway, yeah. So it's a few injuries to some pretty big stars there.
Maybe Giannis just hates All-Star Weekend, and he's just like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, I got a calf strain up. I'll see you guys in the playoffs.
See you never.
Crazy, news that's boiling over still from the trade deadline is Mark Williams, who this was the one that kind of happened in the middle of the night. You guys texted about it. I woke up and saw it last week. Me and Jake obviously talked about it on the pod last week as well.
Yeah.
This made everyone, including us, even more excited for the Lakers in the near future and just their future in general. You pair Luka with Mark Williams, a young, aspiring center in this league. Someone who people are excited about, someone who people maybe forgot about because he was in Charlotte. But Mark Williams, Dalton Connect deal was nixed by the league. Both players headed back to their respective teams. Mark Williams apparently did not pass a physical. So much is coming from this, right? Because right before we started recording tonight, Alex Len was signed by the Lakers. Mm-hmm. They waived Christian Wood to make that deal happen. The Hornets are, it's coming out last night and today that the Hornets are trying to dispute this. And I don't really know what that means. Like, are they trying to make sure it does go through? And then
I'm guessing.
Sham said the Lakers will be trading for a center in the next 24 to 48 hours too. That's part of this. So like, what if the Lakers add a center and then the Williams trade stays on? Like, then they have 2 players off. Like, it's a mess. Dalton Connect is like, what do you like? That Dalton Connect thing was so sad that we reposted today, where he like wasn't ready to emotionally, basically, to play basketball again. Like, that's fun. Poor kid,
I don't,
dude.
Like, I get it. He was drafted by the Lakers. He's traded in this deal. But if you're Dalton Connect, you got to think like if they needed size. He was kind of the odd man out here in terms of minutes or whatnot. Why is he upset? Because I get it. Like, he has to understand that like they needed to send value for Mark Williams. So like he's valuable. Like, he's clearly valuable. He's clearly a good player. He's clearly talented. And B, if this trade does kind of get nullified or whatnot, he's saved from playing in Charlotte.
Yeah,
he's back in LA. He's playing with Luka and LeBron. What's he so upset about? Does he feel betrayed?
I think that's the part that's it's like a blessing in disguise that he gets to stay in LA. But I think he is betrayed. I feel like he's like, okay, you guys just traded me. Like, you clearly don't care about my long term. I'll probably just get traded in the off season. Like, he probably doesn't trust any of them anymore. That is what I would.
Sure, but it's not like he was a throw-in. He was the piece to get Mark Williams.
But
Like,
I just feel like, maybe because think about this conversation with JJ actually went. Like JJ's presenting it to us in the nicest way possible, right?
yeah.
Dalton could have just went in there and said, "Yo, JJ, fuck you, bro. You traded me. I'm not showing up." And JJ and JJ being like, Dalton needs some time to, deal with the repercussions of the trade because, Dalton just motherfucked him for 10 minutes and left. Like, that's possible. Like, we don't know exactly how he's feeling, but I do feel like it's betrayal that you said is the word that I would see.
But he's also a rookie, right? He's also a rookie.
He's a dumb kid. He's emotional. That's the thing. He's 20 years old. Like, he's not an adult. He's not a vet knowing that this is the league.
Will say,
like, his feelings are hurt.
He could take some good advice from Kevin Durant, who he was asked about, possibly being traded at this deadline and that being floated out there, and the Suns having a toxic locker room, and he's just being like, I'm not surprised by any of this. Like, it's a business. This is our job.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of it. So, I would offer Dalton Connect to maybe go watch that clip of KD talking to reporters. And
I feel worse for Mark Williams.
Oh,
I mean, he had about 3
He's
days.
the guy who has to go back to Charlotte.
He had about 3 days to think that he was getting lobs from Luka and LeBron, and that he was putting up big numbers for Charlotte. Probably the month or two before this deal happened, where it's kind of almost like, not that the work paid off, but like, hey, I got noticed, right? It was all these kind of centers' names were floating of all they want to get kind of a elite rim protector. They want to get a center to add on to this, deal to have with Luka for the future. And they go ahead and they get the guy who's younger than most of the rookies in the NBA this year, a guy who has the tallest standing vertical in the NBA, or standing reach in the NBA, ahead of Victor Wembanyama, and a guy who was going for playing in Charlotte and having a chance to play with LeBron and Luka. And I think enough time had passed, right, where it finally, like, probably, stuff takes time to set in, right? When something happens, something big happens, usually takes you a day or two to process. Well, a day or two went by. He probably in his head already convinced himself, hey, I'm moving from Charlotte to LA. I'm playing with LeBron James and Luka Doncic, and I'm going from bottom of the Eastern Conference to a chance to win a championship. And now he's back in Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's a terrible switch up.
That's a tough
I would much worse than Dalton Connect in my mind. Boo-hoo, Dalton Connect. You're a rookie. You've been in the league for 4 months. You've barely had a cup of coffee in the National Basketball Association. All right, boo-hoo. You're still in LA. You're on a great team. Stop it. Stop your complaining. Stop your whining. Mark Williams should be the one upset.
Nah, bro. They're definitely, if this trade's actually back, Dalton's getting moved for whatever center they trade for at this point.
Probably.
We just don't have a deal ready at this point.
Yeah.
Is this true, Steve?
Oh, no, I haven't purchased any Lakers merch yet, but I gotta say, Luka looks good in yellow. And the only other thing I'll say, before I dive into Luka, because we gotta get through the news and notes. I will be professional here.
News and notes are on the screen.
The Luka Puka jersey swap. I'll tell you what. After the game last night,
that moves you.
Luka Puka jersey swap. I was like, oh man, that's a tough one to be like, I hate the Lakers. I'll tell you what.
Buddy, this is your worst nightmare playing out in front of you on this podcast. I just hope you know that. You know that.
It's my worst nightmare. Everyone I care about in sports is going to LA. What is this? What is it? Yeah, Kelsey Plum traded to the Sparks.
Move to LA, bro. What do you mean?
LA. I was in LA for 4 months. I hate it. The traffic stinks. It just stinks. Everything stinks about LA. Everything's overpriced. You can't afford to live there. And everyone I love in sports is going to LA. Oh, good. By the way, just breaking news for the pod here. Daniel Gafford reevaluated 2 weeks with a knee sprain. So shout out, Mavs.
Yeah.
No big men right now who are healthy. No one.
I think Stephen A. said this on ESPN today. He said the Mavs went from having 3 centers to none in like a 2-week span.
Do you know how bad it is for the Mavs right now? That Powell can't even play because he's hurt.
No, that's how they can't even put Dwight
out. We can't even get Powell minutes.
Only hope, bro.
We can't even get Powell minutes. It's that bad.
They're gonna bring back Tyson Chandler or what?
Bring him.
JaVale McGee, let's get him. Oh, it's just terrible.
Someone else.
The fact that the Lakers signed Alex Len.
That's
today
crazy. They're down bad for a big.
I was gonna say the signers that are about to get signed for this stretch run are gonna be guys we haven't thought about for at least 5 years. Because Alex Len's a guy I haven't thought about for at least
a lot of DeMarcus Cousins, a lot of Dwight Howard's mixed in here.
How's Dwight looking in Taiwan? How's he looking? In shape?
He says like once every couple weeks that he could be playing big man right now.
Okay.
So, yeah. I remember him saying that for the Thunder last year for their playoff run. Anyway, someone else who's heading to LA is Ben Simmons because he was bought out by the Nets and he signs with the Los Angeles Clippers. He said it was easy decision. He said, Ty Lue was transparent with him about what he thought he was able to do on the basketball court. And I don't know. I was kind of surprised there was a market at Jake. I saw your Cavs were interested.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
When I saw the Cavs were interested, then the gears got turning in my head. I'm like, should the Celtics be looking at this as a buyout option? Just to
No. The Cavs. If the Cavs, you know how angry I would have been coming in guns ablazing if the Cavs signed Ben Simmons. My one friend sent me a text saying he can focus on defense, whatever. I said Ben Simmons can focus on passing the water down to Don on the bench. That's what he could focus on if he was a Cav.
I mean,
Ben Simmons chose LA because he wants to fucking live in LA. He does not need LA.
He doesn't care about playing.
Yeah, he don't care what Ty Lue said to him. He said, I can live in Los Angeles.
He gets 3 minutes a night of the Clippers. He's happy.
Is he gonna play a game? Yeah. Like what?
He's got no pressure now, too, right? He can just do whatever he wants.
Him and Kawhi,
I can collect my game checks on the bench in LA instead of Brooklyn. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
This team, that's what the Clippers do. They're like, yo, stars, come to LA. You don't have to play basketball. We'll just pay you. It's great. And Kawhi, James Harden, and Ben Simmons are like, sure. Sounds good.
Steve Ballmer told Ben Simmons about the wall, and he just he had to get there. But Ben Simmons is a Clipper, so we'll see. Him and Kawhi will be passing heating pads and ice pads back and forth to each other on the bench. Brandon Ingram has not played a minute or scored a basket for the Raptors, yet he signs a 3-year deal worth $120 million. I believe he has a player option in year 2. And Shams kind of was on ESPN today saying that Brandon Ingram is a guy that the Raptors wanted to go out and get. They wanted a guy who can bring more scoring to this team, and they locked him up as soon as he got here. So I don't know. Shout out BI.
Yeah.
A team that's kind of believing in him. We didn't really have that with the Pels, considering the last 2 or 3 years he was in all the trade rumors. Before that, obviously, we know it didn't work out with the Lakers. When he was younger, and now he has a new team alongside Scotty Barnes. So probably the 2 pillars of their future there.
I will give him that with Ingram because Steve, last week we were talking about this trade for Toronto, saying that was like a 2K team just doing fine trades for everybody and getting stars. Yeah. That's what it feels like. But I will say Toronto is at least what you just said, Dunny, a stable organization that has shown they will invest and be able to build somewhat of a contender with stars of this caliber. Like think of DeRozan and Lowry, like Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett could be
Grady Dick.
They could be that, and Grady Dick. Yeah, Grady Dick's pretty damn good too. Like
Manuel
they have a good core
right
now. I don't know if it's a team that's going to win the title, but is it a team that can compete towards the top of the East? Like, if you're the Raptors organization, are you thinking you're going to win titles every year? No, you're hoping you win one title every 10 years and that you're competitive in Toronto. Like, it's hard to get people to come play in Toronto and want to play there. You just the money situation is the hardest thing. So I love this, that they're just investing in this core and just kind of going with it. Because I think that's how you win nowadays in the NBA. You find 3 good players, pay them a lot of money for a long time, and hope that they figure it out together.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the deal when it happened, but you look at the Raptors roster, and obviously the record's been terrible this year. They've dealt with a lot of injuries too. But you look at their roster, and this is a team that can fight. They can be a little feisty. Like they got guys, they got talent, and they're young. So I mean, I don't hate it. Ingram's still only 27 years old. We're talking about Brandon Ingram, especially it felt like he just aged on the Pelicans, where it's like 31, 32. He's still 27. I don't mind it. And also too, I think this is just going to be a spot for Brandon Ingram where he can kind of be the focal point of the offensive side of the team. And with the Pelicans, you didn't really know who was kind of the number one option. And I don't think Scotty Barnes ever wants to truly be a number one offensive option. I don't think RJ Barrett truly can be a number one offensive option. I think this is a deal where we can look next year and we could just be checking the Raptors stats in January and be like, oh, Brandon Ingram's averaging 28 a game. It just feels like he could just kind of be a bucket now with other guys around him. And so, hey, I mean, if you signed the extension already, it means he's happy. He wanted out of New Orleans. That was clear. Yeah. And I don't really get that, Brandon, because I was there for a week. The food's pretty damn good. I understand now with Zion. I'm a complete agree. I am 100% on Zion's side. I understand it. If you want to get in shape, you got to get out of New Orleans. That food was unbelievable. That food was incredible. But hey, you know what? If he wants to go to Toronto over New Orleans, so be it. So be it. I wouldn't choose that, Brandon. But hey, maybe you're right. He just wants kind of a stable organization. And, this is a team that's got a good enough youngish core that, he can work with and see what happens.
Yeah. Shout out BI. We got his deal. Last piece of news here. Joel Embiid could need another surgery on his knee. Guys, I said it when we were talking about the teams that were most fucked, to put it eloquently. A couple weeks ago, we had those 5 teams that Jake brought up. Who was the most fucked? I said I thought Philly was near the top of that list because I thought Joel Embiid is nearly untradeable. And Brian Windhorst went on ESPN and said that exact statement today. Joel Embiid at the moment is untradeable. The process is dead. I just don't know where Philly turns from here. Daryl Moore keeps tripling down. I can't even get these words out because of how crazy Philly's situation is. On Joel Embiid being their future, and still happy about the Paul George signing, and building around Embiid still. I don't understand it, and it's probably because like what Wendy said, what I said. I don't think Embiid's tradable. I mean, if this guy needs another surgery on his knee, this was a completely lost season, which it was already looking like anyway. But the bottom of the East is so bad that they still actually have a chance to make it in the play-in. But, I mean, at this rate, I just think the process is dead.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing nice to say about Philly 76ers, but congrats on the Eagles for winning the Super Bowl. That's about all I'm thinking I'll say about Philly that's nice.
You pretty much in agreement there, Jake?
Yeah, Joel, it's done. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. His extension hasn't even kicked in yet.
Mavs might trade for him. Maybe they need someone, who can be durable and be on the court.
They do want to win now.
Yeah, they do want to win now. Yeah, well, let's trade for a big who gets hurt all the time. Brilliant.
Shaq's conditioning is through the roof, though. Anyway, you guys ready for the next section here? Luka's Laker debut was last night. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Not the best numbers, obviously struggled shooting. I think that was to be expected, though. You're on ice for that long. Come back from an injury. He's dealing with everything else off the court emotionally. Still was a plus 15 in the plus minus category. And the Lakers got a pretty easy win against a struggling Utah Jazz team. It was cool. I bet Luka's points, so that was tough. But I also was all over LeBron's points, rebounds, and assists separately. Hit a couple of those there because LeBron had a very nice, efficient 24, 7, and 8. Lakers looked good. It was fun.
Yeah.
It looked like great vibes. And I think this is something we can expect, is just these guys meshing together as these games go on, as the season goes on, and it looks pretty fun out there.
Yeah, it was buzzing. It was buzzing in there. Everyone was there. It felt like a regular season game that felt more important than a regular season game. I mean, this is exactly what the NBA wants when ratings are down, right? They want the Lakers where everyone's like, I want to watch the Lakers. I want to go out of my way to watch the Lakers. I apologize to the Utah Jazz because Luka should have played probably Saturday, should have been their debut, but they're like, oh, Monday night, prime time, no more football. Everyone's got to watch something, right? I mean, LeBron knows exactly what he's doing. The NBA knows what they're doing. So you flex the game there. The poor Utah Jazz got to be on TV just getting their ass kicked. Donnie, I mean, I know you were on the props. You should have just taken Lakers first half spread, Lakers full game spread. I mean, I think it was 7.5 first half spread, which I thought was crazy. I think 12 is what the line closed at for full game spread. But this was just kind of the classic of going through the motions, kind of almost like the teaser, showing people what you're going to potentially see with this Lakers team. A couple flashy passes there, a couple unnecessary flashy passes from both LeBron and Luka. They did connect on one of the full court passes, which is fun. You got the photo of Luka smiling as he passed it to LeBron. You had Luka do the most unnecessary behind the back pass to Rui that I've ever seen, where he's looking at him. Could have been just an easy bounce pass. He just does the behind the back pass. Rui gets fouled going up for the shot. But it was just, I guess, kind of a little teaser of things to come, and it was strange because I don't know, and maybe Jake, you could correct me on this because you've been a Cavs fan your entire life. When has LeBron not been the last one announced in a starting lineup?
Oh, never.
I don't think that's ever happened. Did LeBron get announced before Luka? And the way they reacted, it was wild. It was surreal. Like I said, guys, this past week of everything I've done, it feels like it happened a month ago when this trade came out and I doom scrolled online trying to fall asleep before a 4 a.m. flight. Got no sleep that night. No surprise there. Thanks, Shams, for that one. But it feels like it happened so long ago, and then I actually see them on the court together. I have my thoughts on the actual trade itself, but in terms of just the non-biased basketball fan, and I think we can all be in agreement to this, it was just awesome. And it's just incredible to see LeBron James and Luka on the court together wearing the same jersey, something I don't think we ever thought we'd see.
Definitely
not. No, yeah, I never imagined this in a million years. That's the thing. We talked about that a lot last week too, Steve. Like, that's the thing that's so shocking about this is when we talked about, I feel like we had a conversation on this show before about like players we would want to see together and brought those two up and we were like, oh my God, like if Luka and LeBron ever somehow got together, like they're just such geniuses. It could never happen, but if it happened, whatever.
Right.
And like, that's why it's so wild. Like, you mentioned all the great moments last night. You did really well, like just putting that into perspective, the different like showmanship things that were happening. Like Luka understood the assignment that it's showtime. Like it's the Showtime Lakers. This is Hollywood, all the stars out, as you're saying, everything else. Maybe a little bit too much, but he gets the role he's in now. You know what I mean? Like he fully understands the moment, everything else. LeBron's definitely, even in Miami, came out after. You know what? I believe Dwayne Wade came out last in Miami.
Did he?
Cleveland.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I don't think he took that from Dwayne Wade, but I think he was second to last. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think D Wade still got it. I think D Wade.
Even with his like Heat debut, like first year he's there, it was always Wade last. I
think Wade would get the last because Wade was like the guy just still there. If I remember correctly, I think they would go Bosh, Bron, Wade.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. But like I said,
not so far in LA
last. Right,
this is the first time in LA for sure, and it's definitely him, LeBron's own passive aggressive way of showing like, nah, this is his show, bro. I'll ride his coattails, dude. A couple more if I can. Like, I don't care. I saw some tweet last night, like, Bron's about to play till he's 50 now. I never seen him pass like this. Like his career is extended.
He's not slowing down.
He's not slowing down, and whatever exit plan he had was tied to the fact that AD was like getting older. You know what I mean? Like the reason Bron was gonna start slowing down because he wants to be a Laker. Wants to live in LA, and he's like, well, AD's gonna be like 35 and break down, and the Lakers are gonna have to move on for me. I'm not moving anywhere, so that'll be it. Like, it's a good time to hang it up, whatever. Now it's like, the Lakers are gonna keep Luka for the next 20 years in their hopes. So why don't I just ride this as long as I can? Like, I'm not like, he still thinks he's the best player in the world, probably, or at least the second best behind Luka Doncic. Like, so in his mind, I think his career probably he's probably going to try to make it to Bryce at least. And that's 3 years. That's 3 years of basketball for LeBron.
Yeah. If I see the LeBron family tree on the court at the same time,
Bryce, Bronny, LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves.
What a group!
That's what I need. That's a squad.
Oh my god!
No, but it was crazy to see, and I know they put up 132, but it also felt like, too, this is a Lakers team that's probably going to cause issues to a lot of teams because of the way LeBron and Luka, I don't think it's going to take them long to be in sync with one another because they like to play the same style of let the game kind of come to them, right? They don't need to rush it. They'll throw the full court heave when they need to. They'll throw that pass and they'll get to the open guy, but they are completely fine and comfortable waiting for defenses to try to double or watching things develop. And to see, in my opinion, two of the smartest basketball minds on the court at the same time, I know we only saw one game and it's limited minutes or whatnot, but it's going to be a joy to watch as a basketball fan, to kind of watch them play off one another. I think it's something where it takes like 3 games and they're just ready to go.
Yeah, of course. And I actually said this last week, Steve, so it's funny that you mentioned the basketball minds thing, because I remember LeBron praising Rondo and vice versa when they won the championship together in 2020 about just how high Rondo's IQ was. And I mean, we all know Rondo was awesome. Luka's, 3x the player Rondo was.
Right.
And yes, it's one game, but they did put up 130 plus, and Luka shot very poorly for himself and only had 14 points. So if this is just, a small sprinkle of what's to come, it's going to be special. And like you said, it's game 1. These guys shouldn't take long to get it going, but just know that it will be better than this. And that's a scary sight for other teams in the West.
And whatever guy Dalton Connect gets traded for.
Yeah. Also, too, it's going to be easy mode for Austin Reeves. And he's another guy, too, where he's kind of gone under the radar this year of how good Austin Reeves can actually be. I think he scored 48 or something the other night, or 45. He had a 38-point game. He's really, really good. And you don't really hear too much about him, right? Because it's LeBron AD. But now that you have an opportunity where it's Luka and LeBron, and they can both kind of, take so much attention off Austin Reeves, like, this is a guy where he's just going to put up numbers, and you're going to be like, almost kind of like what Christian Brown's doing right now in the Nuggets. You're like, oh, that guy scored the quietest 26-point game I've ever seen. And for Austin Reeves, I want to apologize because I really didn't think he was this good of a basketball player. I kind of, it's kind of that like 1 year kind of flash of the pan where you're like, oh, he's just surrounded by really good players. He's just in a good spot. He's shown nothing this year that he's not going to be that guy. And not only that guy, but a significant part of this Lakers core going forward.
Yeah. And
sneaky big 3. Sneaky.
That's what I was just gonna ask you guys.
Sneaky.
I saw, and I know it's mostly probably just Lakers fans getting excited. And I think last night, all the reason in the world to be excited. Also, something I want to mention before I forget, super fucking cool for the Lakers to just give out T-shirt jerseys to every single seat in the arena.
That was insane.
Usually those shirts that you get on the seat is like, and I have so many of them from Celtics games. Like, I still like them, and I think it's cool when they do it in any capacity what the shirts are. But it's never usually a T-shirt jersey.
No.
And it was Luka's 77 all over all the seats. So that was awesome. What a warm welcome that was. Austin Reeves though, big 3. I think it's fine if you want to call them a big 3. I saw people saying that he's the best third option in the league, and I think Jake and I would strongly disagree with just our own teams, and I think I could think of a few others. But
so already no with OKC. That's a clear no.
Yeah,
Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, SGA.
I think you have 2 that you could pick on the Celtics.
Would
KD
you?
Or D White.
Yeah, I would take healthy KP, obviously. D White, I think you could take over Austin Reeves too.
T.
Cleveland,
White's
who's the
close,
third?
but
Garland.
I would take both over.
It's
It
either
would be-
Garland or Mobley. And
Well,
either
I think Mobley's too. I do think
Garland.
Mobley's too.
I'm taking
I-
Garland over
I'd
Reeves.
take Garland over Reeves. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next they got Brunson, Cat, Bridges.
Yeah, I'd still take Bridges.
Probably take Bridges over Reeves, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's like crazy. I
Take
think
Reeves
that's
over
just,
Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. right now.
I take Reeves over
It's
MPJ.
tough.
no. I maybe MPJ.
Maybe
I think we kind of forget the type of player Jamal Murray turns into when he needs to. And
I would take Murray.
I take Murray over Reeves.
I would take Murray over a lot of people. I agree exactly what you're about to say. What he turns into in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
Murray, you can still trust Murray there.
I'm
I
trying to
it's
think
fine
that.
call a big three, but that shit was just crazy to me. But anyway,
Yeah,
I digress.
I mean, but that's just them getting
Lakers
excited.
fans, they
Too,
always
right?
take it one step too far, though. They can't just be happy that they have Luka now and go ahead. They have to now. Austin Reeves is all of a sudden the most overqualified third option in the league. Like, no,
And he's very good. He's
perfectly
very good.
third option. Exactly. Yeah, he can be your third option.
He could be a top
that's the
10 third option.
That's
Yeah.
the accomplishment. The fact that he is the third option is the accomplishment.
Right.
Austin Reeves was not supposed to be the third option on a title contending team. That's a win. Take that win, Lakers fans.
I wouldn't take him over the Grizzlies either. No, I'm thinking about it. Ja, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson.
No, I wouldn't
Take
do
all
that.
three. Take all three over Reeves.
Jalen Green, Sengun, and
Amen?
Thompson.
Is Amen third option, bro?
think
He's
so.
been balling like a third option too.
I don't know
Would
if that's
you-
too disrespectful to Reeves, but I
would
think
you
I'm
take
taking
him?
Amen Thompson.
Would you take him over DeMontis Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine?
No, I take all three of those over.
Yeah,
over
I guess you
Reeves.
gotta
I
take all three of those guys,
over
too.
Reeves.
I know
Yeah, I
that's
guess
the
there's
crazy.
some-
It's a hard question, but like, that team's so.
I guess there's
manageable.
there's some
I
there's
guess
some
I'll
like
take
bad
it.
teams on here we still have to consider too. with that one.
I tried
Well,
to look at all the teams and be like, who's the worst big three?
You got the infamous Phoenix big three. You're taking him over Beal at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm
You're
taking.
You
taking-
gotta take him over Beal.
Gotta take him over Beal.
Would you take him over RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Brandon Ingram?
I'd take him over RJ Barrett, I think.
I think so as well.
Okay,
That's where
it's
mine-
pretty close. but I
That's
just still-
close. It's very close, but
Paul
yeah.
George, Embiid, Maxey.
Are we talking healthy Sixers? I can't.
Healthy Sixers.
At this point in his career, maybe over
this-
Paul George.
Yeah,
Crazy
honestly,
though,
Paul
right?
George. Paul George
At this
is more
point-
of a basketball player. At this
Paul
point.
George hasn't done much this year.
Yeah.
At this point,
Why would you? If Embiid's not going to play, if you're Paul George, I'm not playing. I'm here because of
You-
you, big bro. Like if you're not playing, I'm not playing.
Jimmy,
ready for-
Steph,
you-
Draymond.
I'd take him over Draymond at this point.
Too.
Yeah. You ready for the puke one? Giannis, Dame, Kuzma.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
taking him over
gladly.
Kuzma.
I think I'll take him over Kyle Kuzma. Yo, Kyle Kuzma definitely thinks that's a big three. We know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This one actually tough. Obviously, the injuries
right.
have to be off on this one too. Kawhi, James Harden, Norm Powell.
I thought you
Just
were
because the
saying
year
Ben
Norm
Simmons.
Powell's having.
Norm Powell's just like a better Austin Reeves right now. But the problem with Powell is he's just a shooter. Reeves does a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Reeves
but
does a lot.
Neither
it's
of them
Reeves
play no
there for me
defense.
too.
Yeah, I think it's
just an
Reeves.
interesting one.
I think it's Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
He's right middle of the pack right there, I guess. I think that's about.
did we miss anyone? We could do a healthy Orlando, but I think I'd take Reeves over Suggs.
I would take
I would
Oscar
go with
Banchero,
the same thing.
Suggs. I would take Reeves over
any
Suggs.
Detroit situation, any Atlanta situation right now because with
Fox,
Who's
White,
Atlanta's
Castle.
third? Ooh,
Fox.
I'll take him over Castle at this point.
You
At
say
this point,
Castle, or would you say
but next year,
Vassell?
who knows?
Mm.
Yeah, I would take him over
I would
Vassell, but Castle
take him-
just like the
Castle, I
intrigue
might.
of the
Castle, I
potential.
might say no, just because if you could get Castle with Luka and LeBron right now, that'd be crazy because of the defense. That the least upside in the future.
Yeah.
I guess not right this second, but
I
like,
think this year though I'd take him over
yeah, Reeves.
Vassell
Right
or Castle. I
Here's
don't
the
think
thing that's awesome about Reeves is fit right now is obviously
Yeah.
on the floor with them. Like he's more wide open than he's ever been in his life, probably. But
Yeah.
even coming off, even if they want to just make him the bench option and he could be the best sixth man in the NBA, like if they ever decided to do that, and just create everything. And then you're just with Luka or LeBron. And all of a sudden Reeves is the creator for those guys. And
Right.
they load off of them, but there's still threats out there. Like his life is so easy as a basketball player right now.
And he was a guy who was about to have to play make a bunch and now just does not need to do that.
No.
Yeah. All right, Steve, should we you want to break down the trade once and for all here?
I missed last week. I missed the emergency pod. Shout out JetBlue Wi-Fi. I was able to actually tune in and watch you guys a little bit because I had to make sure you were saying the right things. I had to make sure you guys.
What did you think we were gonna do?
No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I'm gonna start this off. Just gonna be blunt and honest right here. Nico Harrison belongs in a jail cell. I think that is what the conclusion of this trade is. After over a week to think about it, Nico Harrison belongs in a jail cell, and I'm not talking about one of those nice fancy jail cells, comfy bed, you get visits. No. No windows, underground, no windows, maybe one family visit a year. That's where he belongs. Because Nico Harrison, it's one thing to trade your best player. All right, it's one thing to trade your best player. It's one thing to trade your best player if maybe things aren't working and change the scenery. It's one thing to trade your best player if maybe you're worried he's not going to re-sign. It's one thing to trade your best player if maybe the locker room chemistry isn't there. It's another thing to trade your best player the year after he carries you to the finals. The same season where he said he's been nothing but wanting to re-sign, nothing but just wanting to be loyal to the franchise, where the locker room loves him, and you made trades in the past 2 seasons to build around this guy. And it's another thing to trade him, and this would be like, that's maybe reasonable if he's like 32. No, he's 25. It's another thing to do this in the middle of the night behind everyone's back, to where right now the only teams that have been reported that the Mavs have contacted besides the Lakers were the Milwaukee Bucks, allegedly, where they wanted Giannis. And apparently today it came out that they contacted the Minnesota Timberwolves too, which I asked you, Nico Harrison, did you watch that playoff series? Because you clearly don't know what you're doing. If you watch that playoff series, you go, you know what, I want to swap Anthony Edwards for Luka Doncic. Regardless of all that, it's one thing to do all that. To do this behind his back, to do this without confronting anyone, to do this where, you guys saw Jason Kidd in silence. Jason Kidd, I think, knew of it at the very, very end. Mark Cuban tried to talk Nico Harrison out of it when he learned about it last minute. All these people who are important to the Mavericks organization to trade it. And then after all that, because that's as bad as it is, you obviously know the fan base is going to be upset about it. It's the year after they went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Boston Celtics, who are the best roster in the NBA the past 3 years. Sorry they lost. Luka led the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, plus minus. Every stat you could find in the finals, he led the Mavs. And to do that and then call him fat on the way out, to be like, his conditioning's there, saying he's not a really good locker room fit. Don't think he's going to be locked in. And the only thing we've heard outside of Nico Harrison is the fact that, and the Mavs ownership, I don't even want to get started on that. The only thing we've heard outside of that is how much the players on the team loved him and are going to miss him. How much the rest of the NBA loves him and excited for him. The fans, you would have thought he died. If you went online and you just saw was outside the arena, you would be like, oh my God, what happened to Luka?
They brought a coffee.
I know. You would have thought the man was dead.
That would be crazy.
If you had no context, it was absolutely insanity to me. And then they try to call him fat on the way out. And then, not only that, he's not 270. But the best part about trying to call him 270 is every NBA player was like, well, yeah, if I'm putting up 34, 9, and 9 at 270, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. I don't think that's the issue. If you really watched the Mavs season last year and thought the issue was Luka, If you thought that was the issue, then you're batshit crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You aren't watching basketball at that point. It drives me nuts because you do this if there's something going on, maybe with the locker room, or if you don't think he's going to sign the supermax. And all his answers, and every answer of everyone who was close to Luka was like, no, he wanted to stay in Dallas his whole career. I mean, the man bought a $15 million house, and then he shipped him out. So I can put the tinfoil hat on and say the NBA ratings are down, and this is about trying to find a new face of the NBA. And what's the best way to do that? Is throw it in the biggest market in LA and have him play with the man who's been the face of the NBA for the past 20 years in LeBron James. I can put that tinfoil hat on. I could say that, oh, maybe LeBron orchestrated it and he's just playing like stupid. He doesn't really know what's going on. I could do that. But at the same time, too, even if that's what's happened here, and even if there's something that happened behind the scenes with Luka, with the ownership, with Nico Harrison, whatever, even if that happens, the way that this happened, the way they went about this, just in the middle of the night, kind of just, he had no idea what's going on. LeBron claims he had no idea what's going on. LeBron, you always know what's going on. Don't give me that. No other teams really had no idea what was going on. Majority of other reporters thought Shams got hacked when he reported it. Like, the way it went was so fishy to me. It was like either Luka did something to the ownership or Nico where they were like, no, we can't have that here. It can't just be about conditioning. And it also can't just be about on-court performance. They're going, we want to win now. Buddy, they went to the NBA Finals last year. I don't want to just keep bringing up Giannis's quote, but it makes sense where it's like that only one team can win the championship every year. Just because you lost doesn't mean you failed. I mean, we're talking about a Mavs team where he carried playoff teams with Reggie Bullock in the starting lineup.
Shout out Reggie.
Dwight Powell. What are we talking about? You finally got the pieces around him. You got PJ Washington, you got Gafford, and you went from a team that maybe wasn't even going to make the playoffs last year to that being the third best team in the NBA post-trade deadline last year. Then you bring in Quentin Grimes. By the way, sorry, Quentin Grimes. I don't know what they're doing trading you for Martin, and now you got to go rot in Philly. But enjoy Philly, man. Enjoy that experience. But regardless, you get him, you get Najee Marshall, things are working. Derek Lively looks like a home run draft pick. And then you trade him away. First off, you didn't just alienate the fan base. You alienated the players you brought in to build around Luka Doncic. Secondly, you know that guy who's pretty good at basketball, going to be a Hall of Famer that has been under his best behavior in Dallas, who absolutely loves it there? You stabbed him in the back. You think he's going to resign? You want to go in win now mode? This is your idea for win now mode? And the fact that you're like, oh, we need kind of more durability. We want to go win now. You traded for a guy who's always hurt. So Nico Harrison, like I said, I know Donnie's familiar with it. Anyone's familiar with Barstool Sports, when Dave Portnoy, when any of his enemies get in trouble or get fired or whatnot, he pops a bottle of champagne. And I will have one waiting for the day Nico Harrison either is in jail or he's fired, or something happens where it is bad to be Nico Harrison, because I am counting down the days till that happens. Now, after all that fallout, I had to sit on this on a 4-hour flight at 6 a.m. when I'm trying to go to the Super Bowl, and I got to get my mind on there and what I'm going to ask these athletes, what I'm going to say here. I had to be like, oh, my God, Luka left the Mavs. I had to sit on that. I had to sit on it for a week after. And, yeah, I got asked a lot of questions on my thoughts on there. But after all that, if I could put all that aside and my hate for Nico Harrison and my hate for the Mavs organization and everything. Oh, by the way, just real quick. Dirk was at the Lakers game last night, not the Mavs game. Not the Mavs played last night. Dirk went and sat with Luka's family for his debut. Kyrie Irving talked about how he can't wait to see his hermano at the All-Star break and their families can get together because their friendship is beyond basketball. So great job, Mavs, on that end. No, you got rid of the locker room cancer, idiots. But regardless, after sitting on it for over a week and being able to think about it, number one, first off and foremost, I will not root for the Mavs to succeed until Nico Harrison has nothing to do with that team. I don't want him to get any type of credit.
Okay,
Anyone.
hold on. All right, I'm going to stop you here, Steve. I'm going to stop you here because I agree with you. Nico is a major part of this problem, but you touched on it one thing. You didn't want to jump on it a lot, but you have to jump on it more. You have to take a stand against this man. Whoever that fucking guy is, Patrick Dumont.
Yes, Dumont. I can't stand it.
Air today in his face.
And I hate him.
Saw that he took over his family business and it has lost like $7 billion in capital since he took over. Until that guy is gone, Steve.
All right. So Dumont is so bad, I don't even want to mention his name. Like, I think that's how mad I hate him. And the comments he said about Luka too, I don't even want to mention that man's name. That guy, but I cannot. And the problem is there's so many guys I love on the Mavs, and obviously like the connection Luka and Kyrie had, and the excitement I had for Mavs basketball. I've told you guys this off the pod. I've said this on the pod before, but I was always a guy who didn't really have a team, right? I had players I liked growing up as a kid. You know, Kobe, Shaq, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady, just a bunch of players that I just loved watching basketball. I just always loved watching basketball, but I never truly had a team. And then Luka's rookie year, I watched like the first couple games of him. I was like, oh my God, like, this guy is a joy to watch play basketball. I've never seen someone kind of play basketball the way he plays. I was like, I'm just going to adopt his team. He's a rookie. I loved Dirk before. I obviously rooted for that Mavs team because they played LeBron, and I was an anti-LeBron guy for years. So I was like, I'm just going to dead set. We're going for the Mavs. And then the past, 3-4 years, I've watched 90% of Mavs games. I've tried to be locked in as many Mavs games as I can. Fell in love with all the players, everything they were doing. So this felt like an ultimate stab in the back. But that's me. The Mavs, the diehard Mavs fans, the ones who have been there for years. I'm talking about like the 50-year-olds. I'm talking about the ones who have been there before Dirk. The Mavs were one of the most loyal organizations left in the NBA in the four major sports. And they got an absolute gift, right? Going from Dirk to Luka. I mean, they played a season together. You got an absolute gift. And to throw that away, it alienated the fan base to a point where Nico Harrison had to hire private security at his home. Because he was worried they were going to do something. So I feel bad for them in a sense. Now, me, I'm mad. I'm upset. I really wanted to say, like, I don't have any joy with the Mavs anymore. I tried to watch the game last night before the Lakers game. I couldn't get it. You turn it on. Next thing you know, I see Gafford in the middle of the floor holding his knee. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Just another one to the tally. And he's a guy, you guys know how much I wanted him at the deadline. He's a guy I love. So I don't even have joy trying to watch their games anymore. I don't want to root against them because, like I said, there's so many players I've grown to love from watching over the years. And I feel so bad for them. The way the players reacted, the way Luka has been talking to those players, I feel so bad. The basketball fan of me, like I say, it was surreal seeing Luka and LeBron on the court at the same time. And I'm actually very excited for basketball to see what him and LeBron can do together. But this is a trade where it shook up the league so much. And in the week of the Super Bowl, it had everyone talking about basketball. I mean, shout out NBA. They just know how to do it. They just know how to always be in the media, always be in the news, right? So give them credit there. It feels like this was almost like a league orchestrated move where they were like, we want Luka in Los Angeles. Like, that's kind of how they picked this. This is going to be the next face of the NBA. He's got the personality, right? He has kind of the highlight reel type of plays. He's a guy I don't think you're worried about getting into trouble. He's expressive on the court, and that's something that you really need to be if you want to be, a face of a league. I think hockey has a real problem with that, Jake, right, is because most of the guys are kind of more quieter guys, not as expressive personalities. And Luka he checks all the boxes to be a face of the league. And I would have loved it to be in Dallas, but, Los Angeles is where the lights are the brightest, and a chance to play with the guy who's been the face of basketball. There's people, across the world who probably couldn't even name 4 NBA teams, but they could be like, oh, I know LeBron James, right? That's how big LeBron is. LeBron has become bigger than basketball. He's gone bigger than really sports in general at this point. So I get it for that. As a basketball fan, it's incredible to see. But it's one of those things where it didn't feel real until last night when I watched him in the Lakers jersey come out, and I was like, oh my God, like this is the actual thing I'm gonna have to adjust my brain to. Is like Luka, regardless of how I feel about it, regardless of how Mavs feel about it, and there's a lot of Mavs fans. I followed a lot of Mavs fans on social media too that are just jumping ship. I've never really seen this with fans that have been, the last time you saw it was the decision, right? When LeBron went from Cleveland to Miami. But the big difference there is keyword decision. That's his decision. This was not Luka's choice. This was not really anyone's choice besides redacted name and Nico Harrison. But that's the craziest part.
Get into on this though, because but my thing that I wanted to talk about is just like how many different moving parts this trade has and will continue to have. And I think we're just at the beginning of it. Like I think there's going to be ripple effects for years to come here. And you touched on a couple of them already, Steve, like Dirk, who is a Mav through and through, like one of the only guys to stay with the franchise for 20 years. He got the championship the hard way. He beat the Miami Big Three. This is a guy who, bleeds blue in the sense for the Mavericks here. And he skipped a Mavs home game to go watch Luka in LA because that's
sat with his family.
Right. And it just that in itself speaks volumes. You were just touching on the fans and how you feel bad for the diehard fans. Like these are guys who they had to get refunded for their season tickets. This is the Instagram page of the Dallas Mavericks that lost hundreds of thousands of followers because they traded this star who meant so much to their franchise. And I appreciate that you were just touching on, the decision and LeBron James. And I immediately thought about Kevin Durant too, when he went to the Warriors. Like that was kind of close, but not even because again, it was someone's decision. I can't remember a time where a team and a player split up and the overwhelming majority of the people are saying, fuck that team. This was a mistake. Because there's always a little bit, whether it's 70-30, 60-40, right down the middle, or even, sometimes it's 80-20 and people are mad at the player. It's just not even close to the case this time. Like we saw it with Jimmy Butler and the Heat. It was kind of like, Butler's kind of being an idiot. Oh, you can kind of see it from Pat Riley's point of view. This has just been overwhelmingly everyone taking Luka's side. And I obviously I think it's the right side to be on. That's my take on it as well. And I've never seen anything like this. You can call it bad luck for the Mavericks because of the injuries we've already touched on with Gafford, Lively being out, Davis going down his first game. But whether it's bad luck or not, these are the facts right now. And Luka's already back. Like Luka's back playing now alongside LeBron James. Davis is already down, and it's just like already showing why this was a bad move for the Mavericks because you traded for a guy who's 6 years older, who does have an injury history in his past. And, I think the thing that not enough people are talking about, I think this, will come out too, is Kyrie Irving was finally fucking happy. He was finally happy.
Yep. And that was clearly because of Luka Doncic was why he was happy.
Right.
Oh, he feels so betrayed.
Yeah.
And it was an impossible task, it seemed like. The Mavericks went out on a,
You're right. Yeah.
Like they fucking risked everything. Like I remember, I think Bill Simmons said it was like the riskiest trade that a team has made in years, going out and getting Kyrie. It worked. They made it to the finals. Like that's why I say this will go on for years, because this is just the beginning. Luka's only played one game. AD's only played one game.
We're getting documentaries. We're getting books about this trade. We're getting everything. The only comparable trade in sports there's I think two trades you can talk about that are comparable. It's your Boston Red Sox and Babe Ruth getting traded. Like that's one of them. And Wayne Gretzky getting traded and that even Gretzky, they had already won titles, and it was kind of like an idea that he might leave, but it was still a shock to see him evidently go to LA as well. I need to talk about Redacted, Steve, because I think to the bottom of what actually happened here and kind of it put tinfoil hats on.
Are you doing the casino theory or the move to Vegas?
It's none of that. It's no conspiracy theory on that. It's just me putting all the pieces together from all the Luka content I've read and listened to and everything, and putting together the scenario how I think a dumbass billionaire with a huge inflated ego can come to make this decision, because that's how you get these positions. Owners in sports are dumb. They own sports teams mostly to inflate their egos because they're a part of a really exclusive rich guy club, and their feelings get hurt a lot, especially by superstars. So whatever questionable habits Luka Doncic has, we're not going to theorize on this podcast live what those could be. I'm sure everybody's had joke things, whatever habits he has that are supposedly detrimental to this team off the court. Brian Russillo, I think, had said it. You said it. That 270, if he could do that, who cares? Players saying that. Russillo said if he's smoking cigarettes and walking down the court, like, and putting this up, who cares? If you're putting up production like this, it doesn't matter. I think whatever these questionable habits were just used because something happened where this man, Redacted, confronted Luka and was like, listen, if you're going to be the face of my franchise, this is how you're going to conduct yourself, XYZ. Luka promptly told this man, who, mind you, from Luka's position here, usually I think the Mark Cuban thing is the biggest thing that went wrong with the Mavs, because Mark Cuban,
I agree,
but when he owned the Mavs, he changed the complete culture of that organization. Was literally one of the best owners we've ever seen in all of American professional sports, and now he's all of a sudden phased out basically by this new ownership group. He has no power, no nothing.
Yep.
So this loser guy comes in who can't even run his own Nepo family business that he's buried into and everything. I think he gets offended by Luka. I think he's like, fuck that. We're never going to get back to the finals and win if this guy is like this, blah, blah, blah. Nico, you have to get rid of him, but we have to win a title now. You have to go get me another star back. The only way we do this is get me a star. Go get me whatever players he can name off of his fucking head, right? And Nico, this is where Nico, like, this sounds like I'm shifting blame away from Nico. No, I'm not shifting blame away from Nico. This is where Nico, your job as the general manager, your duty as the franchise is to stand on the table and be like, no, you fucking dumbass, we're not trading Luka Doncic. Nico said, yeah, sure. Me and AD were cool back then. I'll just go talk to my buddy Rob and we'll get him. He's another star and we'll do that. Nico did. Maybe he did push back and maybe he did. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like
I doubt it.
Shit too. That's where he falls, and that's how I think this chain somehow. I don't know. There's obviously a lot of details that would get filled in, but that's generally, I think, it starts with the ownership in Luka, because Luka with Cuban literally said he would divorce his wife over getting rid of Luka, over trading Luka. He meant that shit, bro. Like he really,
I absolutely did.
And so that's where the divide, I think, comes is Redacted and Luka's relationship clearly was not anywhere close to what Cuban and his was.
Well, Dumont, and I'm going to say his name, I hate saying it, is also an idiot. Because when he's talking about Luka's work ethic and character is a reason why, like, you made this deal, or this was the reason he couldn't trust it. And then he goes, if you look at the greats, the people you and I grew up with, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. Shaquille O'Neal, the whole reason him and Kobe butted heads was the work ethic.
That's why they broke up.
It's why they broke up.
It's
literally like
basketball.
The what if of Shaq's career is like, if Shaq tried, is he the greatest basketball player of all time? Like, that's literally like Shaq's career.
Michael Jordan had a degenerate gambling problem. I know it's a tough example because he's the best ever, but like,
right,
he drank all the time.
He also left to play baseball because of this gambling problem, and not for nothing. Not for nothing.
We can say this at least. We know Luka Doncic enjoys beer. We know that.
We understand, but that's the thing. If you want to say that, and like he enjoys beer, he likes to eat, doesn't want to stay in great shape, that's fine. You can't question his work ethic because he can't be doing what he's doing if he's just drinking beer and eating food and just relaxing. The man works as hard as anyone in the off season. What are we talking? The man is obsessed with basketball. He's been playing professional since he was 14.
And is clearly a superior athlete, even though he doesn't physically look like one of the best athletes in the world, is clearly one of the best athletes in the world. Like
He's
his
also
ability
25.
athletically.
Like there's time to fix these things. This is one of the first things I said, Steve, on our emergency pod. It's like you can fix these things. You fix the training staff. You get new
Yes.
chefs in the building. You take all the beer out of the stadium when Luka's there, if that's what you have to do before you trade this man.
Getting a
Like
lot of
it's
comedy from this other fans.
What you don't even need to fix. That's a problem. It's like, yes, you can fix those things, Dunny, but nobody's being like, that's a deal breaker. He went 34-9-9 last year.
That's my
He was
point.
the reason they got to the finals. He was the reason the Mavs were a relevant team his entire career, and not for nothing. When you look at all the basketball greats, the guys who are anti-Luka is the idiot Dumont, Windhorse, Harrison. I don't care about them. LeBron loves him, praises him. Kobe loved him. Like these guys, Michael Jordan, like Allen Iverson, they have nothing but good things to say about this guy. And I don't even want to bring it up, but we're talking about a 6'7" chubby European. You think those guys wouldn't say that if they didn't truly believe it?
Steve, that's very important to bring up. Like Luka has made it through the culture and is like culturally accepted by everybody.
Exactly.
He is a one name. He is a one name person in American culture. You can say Luka, and
Right.
normal people are gonna know who he is, and now they really are gonna fucking know who he is because he's on the Lakers and he's just one of the craziest trades of all time. It's insane. So Mark Cuban sold his minority stake November 2023. So this means that this group came in during the middle of last season. They played through that whole season. Fractures probably started during the season, but then they made the moves. They start making a run. Luka's happy. They make the run, get to the finals. You lose the finals. All that shit that happened starts to come back out. And it just has to percolate over the summer to get to this point.
How can you watch the playoffs last year and be like, that guy's the issue? That's the one preventing us from winning now.
Do you think he sat up there was like? Do you think he sat there as like, if this motherfucker was 215, we'd be winning this game right now?
No, how? Jake, just give me one answer. Get your brain in redacted in Nico Harrison's mind and tell me how you can watch the playoffs last year and be like, that man is the reason that we need to figure out how to win now. That's the reason we couldn't beat Boston.
You want to know how? What is it called?
We're talking about Boston. We're not talking about like some slump team. We're talking about Boston. One of the most stacked rosters in the past 20 years. What are we talking about?
What are the three things called? It's your id, your something, and your ego.
No, it's 100% ego.
You get into their minds, and all of a sudden the ego just completely takes over, and you all of a sudden Luka Doncic like hates you and is doing everything just like he drank that beer when they won the conference finals to spite Patrick Dumont. Clearly, it was a spit in Patrick's face that he did that. So that happened. That's how you do that.
I can't wait.
This dude is the smallest man. What's that song? What was the Zach Bryan song? The Brianna Chicken Pie, Zach Bryan. What's that song?
Oh yeah, smallest man.
Well, you also got the Taylor Swift's man, the smallest man who ever lived.
Or that
too.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. That's what we're doing with Pat. Can we get a picture of this? Can I get a picture of him? I'm sorry, Steve, but I saw this picture today, and everything made sense. Like all this sense of clarity over the situation came up. I gotta find it.
It's just, and Donnie's gonna hate this. Donnie's gonna hate this more than anyone now because I cannot wait for the Lakers to win a championship. I cannot wait for them to have to face that. For Dumont and Harrison to have to eat their words and watch Luka drink all the beer he wants with confetti raining down on him as he's an NBA champion. I cannot wait. I can't stand this guy. I'm done.
Bro. That's the guy who signed off on the Luka Doncic trade. Blame Nico, but blame this man too. Don't forget his name. We need his name to be etched into history.
I think he got his weight mixed up with Luka's weight.
Maybe that. Do you think like that's what I mean? Like all his insecurities, he just put on to Luka. He's like,
Dumont's
Luka, you're too fat, bro.
actually 270.
That photo gets me so bad. I can't stand that, man.
I saw that picture today, and I'm like, of course this dude did this.
He needs to be in the other jail cell next to Nico, but no windows. They can't talk to each other. These walls are soundproof. One visit a year from family. One.
If there's one thing we learned, these two should not collaborate. They should not
No.
make any decisions together about anything.
I also too, and this is like I said, this feels so weird because I'm almost rooting on the Mavs' downfall at this point because of how everything happened. I would never root for injuries, and I feel gutted for Anthony Davis, but it's absolutely hilarious that they make this trade and now they have no bigs. They're all hurt. They have no bigs. They're all hurt. And you know what? And I can't wait to. And I can't wait to when Kyrie walks this year and picks where he wants to go. I am so excited for Kyrie to go where he wants. Do you think he's coming back?
It depends how long AD's out for, I think. But Steve and I said
they are friends.
Steve and I said today, and I think I agree with him that the Mavs could just legitimately be done this season. Like they just went and traded for AD. Depending on how this goes, depending on how Lively's reevaluation goes, depending on Gafford, like they could legitimately be done this season. Look at this.
I know.
The Spurs are the 12th seed right now. They're 23 and 28. They're only 3.5 games back from the Mavs at the 8th seed.
Yeah.
So it's very possible, the Suns are the 11th seed. No one would be surprised that Kevin Durant-led team makes the play-in. The Warriors are the 10th seed. Kings are in there. They got DeRozan and Levine back together. We don't know that could easily be a team that falls out. But like the Spurs are creeping. The Warriors are there. The Suns are there. Like the Mavs could fall out and not make the playoffs. And then that's when shit like that happens where Kyrie has a tough decision to make and gets angry all over again. And we know what angry Kyrie looks like. But
it's different angry, Donnie. You know what I mean? Like, he gets upset. I think this is the first time where people are like, we understand. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like his press conference, post-game press conference of the questions. The man feels like he just lost a puppy. Like it feels like a parent who like lost their kid. Like it feels that depressing. Where I'm just like, you feel bad for the man because, like you said, Donnie, Kyrie never truly felt like that place that really cared about him. And yeah, he had all his off the court issues and everything, but the Mavs did so much to care for him. Not only that, and the way he answers the questions, it wasn't just like a good basketball fit with Luka. They call each other Mi Hermano. They're brothers. It's bigger than basketball. And I think a lot of the NBA players, and if you saw a lot of the superstars' initial reactions to the Luka trade, it was all kind of the same tone where they're just like, we got to remember, like, unfortunately, this is a business. And that, like, in the business, they don't care. They don't care about how these guys are as humans. They don't care how these guys are about their relationships and everything. And that, to me, like I said, it's one thing to trade a superstar. It's one thing to trade a superstar that's young Luka and generational talent, but it's another thing to go behind that guy's back. We've never seen that before, where you're going behind their back. Normally, they have some type of say. Normally, there's a little bit of murmur before like a deal happens. This was a complete stab in the back. Yeah, that's what it was. And when you stab Luka in the back, the ripple effect is you stabbed so many people in basketball in the back. Who would want to go to the Mavs? Not just saying on this current team, not just saying Kyrie resigning. Let's say the Mavs get the first overall pick, draft Cooper Flagg. You think he wants to stay there? You think anybody wants to trust this organization, this current redacted ownership right now? No. That's what they did. They blacklisted themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, they shot themselves in the foot in the worst way. That's you reap what you sow. That's pretty much what it is. Well, Steve, how do you feel now? I
mean, I've kind of given all my thoughts. Obviously, I'm very anti this Mavs ownership, Nico Harrison. I want to say I'm rooting against the Mavs. I don't want them to succeed. I'm not going to hate watch their games because I'm not giving them any attention. There's a lot of players on. a lot of players on the Mavs I still love. I mean, Kyrie, like I said, I mean, the way the Mavs figured out with him, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, those acquisitions, Derek Lively. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. And like I said, Donnie's going to hate this. I mean, I just want Luka to win a championship, not in a Mavs uniform now, as a big middle finger to them. And I'm not ever going to say I'm going to claim myself as, I'm a Lakers guy. Yeah, absolutely not. And I can't even say that I'm still a Mavs guy, because there is a part of me that's like, I still want to care for this team, but I feel so betrayed and backstabbed. And like you said, I'm a guy who hopped on when they drafted this kid. I'm not a guy who's been here for 25, 30 years, and those people are leaving the fan base to the point where not even they're going to another team. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll root for Luka, but I'm done with the NBA. That's kind of what I've seen a lot of Mavs fans go. And there's some that have stayed with the team, and props to you. I'll give all the credit in the world for that, and especially if you've been, on the Mavs side for 30, 40 years. But me personally, like I said, like, I feel betrayed. Why would I root for someone that just betrayed me, stabbed me in the back? Like, so
I don't blame you.
It's
Sonny, if the
it's rooting
Patriots
for Luka to win.
the Patriots did trade Tom Brady, I guess, or they released him and let him go. If the Patriots traded Tom Brady though in like 2006, how would you have felt about the New England Patriots? And you have to be 28 years old in this scenario too, or 27, however old you are in this moment.
Jake, I can give you a better example. This would be like the Bills trading Josh Allen.
If the Bills, I said this last week, if the Bills traded Josh Allen right now, I would have the same. I would not be a Bills fan sitting here. I would not be on the Pay the Bills podcast.
It'd be like a Bills.
I'd be on the Josh Allen podcast. I'd be
right.
Josh Allen.
Or the Celtics trading Tatum after the 22 finals.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I'd be sick, man. Especially because, like, I don't know. Like, no other person aside from Nico Harrison is, telling everyone it's okay because you got AD. And it's funny, my brother-in-law sent me a tweet like 2 days after the trade had gone through, and it's like, this trade is so crazy that the NBA world is talking about Anthony Davis like he's Hassan Whiteside.
I know.
It's so true. Because it's like, AD didn't do anything wrong. Like, he's a fucking top 10, top 12 guy. And like, but that is how crazy it is, because Luka is that good. AD is also that good, but there's fucking levels to this shit in this league. Luka's top 3, AD's, maybe top 12, 6 years older. Like, it just doesn't compute. Anyone, and that's the thing. It's like, this guy's fucking should not have that much power in his hands. If literally every fucking other person in the NBA world, fans from the age of 5 years old to 90 years old, understand that you don't make this trade, 2K would probably, pop up on your screen and would be like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, this must be a mistake.
Right.
Like, this is the type of shit we're dealing with. And, it obviously Steve had to come on and say his piece here, but we would have still been talking about this trade anyway if Steve hadn't missed the last 2 episodes being in New Orleans. Like, that's how big of a fucking deal this trade is. Luka's a Laker. The only thing I'll say, Steve, is he will still have to beat the Celtics.
Are we that confident they're coming out of the East this year, Tony? We that confident? The Cavs. I didn't talk to you guys about this. DeAndre Hunter might be one of the most underrated moves at the deadline.
We talked about it.
Well, here's the thing. I said this last week, Steve. If I somehow get a Cavs Lakers finals out of this now, I'll literally just sit on my couch, feet up, just be like, "What's up?" Like,
he said he might want the Lakers to win more than the Cavs.
I did.
If that
I
happens.
did, and I still today.
That's crazy. Really?
Because here's the thing: LeBron has like 5 more chances at a ring. The Cavs have my lifetime for a ring.
Sure.
So it's really just the window is what it came down to. And I checked, my brain had checked out of LeBron titles. I was like, him and 88 winning nothing. It's over.
Yep.
See you later. Now I'm like, hey.
Yep.
It also helps my brother is like you, a diehard Luka fan, and he also loves LeBron and is more than happy to just jump and be a Lakers fan.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many people who are just jumping, which is fine. And I'm not gonna ever say I'm jumping and going to be a Lakers fan. But if you had to ask me who do I want to win the championship the most this year, Donnie, you can plug your ears. I want the Lakers. I want the Lakers to win. I am. This is the first time in my life that the number one team I want to win the NBA championship is a LeBron-led team.
Wow.
I didn't think I'd be in this spot.
I guess not full circle, half circle.
That is crazy. But I mean, that would be poetry. If the same year they trade him and everything happens, Luka wins the ship. Could you imagine that lifting the Finals MVP?
What NBA finals? What finals is a bigger? If the NBA was into,
it's got to be Celtics Lakers would be the biggest draw.
But you get Lakers Cavs, you get LeBron versus the Cavs in the finals too.
Yes.
What's the bigger story? Would the NBA right now? I'm not saying my personal opinion. Would the NBA right now care more about LeBron's story against the Cavs, or would they care more about Lakers Celtics just having another?
I think Lakers Cavs. Or Lakers Celtics, because Celtics are the defending champs. The Lakers Celtics is that historic rivalry, and Lakers Cavs almost feels like if LeBron's riding off into the sunset. And I think everyone's under the impression that now that they got Luka, he wants to play a few more years. So it doesn't feel like that. Feels like almost the end of the storybook, right? LeBron Cavs finals. I think Lakers Celtics the Celtics have been the best roster in the NBA for 3-4 years at this point. The Lakers just got the guy who was, they just acquired the guy who played the Celtics last year in the finals.
I know,
they want to become the next face of the NBA, and now he's playing alongside LeBron, who's been the face of the NBA in the NBA's most historic rivalry. Yeah. I think that finals, if it was Celtics Lakers, would shatter ratings records. And that's exactly what Adam Silver would want. How do you save the NBA? That right there.
Yeah, I think it has to be that, just because this rivalry, has kind of been dead since Kobe, Paul Pierce.
And getting a LeBron rendition to the rivalry would.
He's got to be involved in all of them.
Because you have the LeBron Celtics, you have the Lakers Celtics, you have the Luka Celtics. And not only did the Celtics win the championship last year, but they're one up on the Lakers now. So if the Lakers were going into this, they could tie for most championships yet again.
All right, 6. So we can do Lakers Celtics this year. Lakers get the win. Then we do Lakers Cavs next year. Cavs get the win. What's up? Listen,
to be honest, though,
the Bills are going to lose in the AFC Championship game every year. I'll take my NBA titles that I can.
This is why Adam Silver's just fucking seeing what sticks, what he's throwing at the wall for the All-Star game, because he's fucking got this in his back pocket.
Yeah,
bro. A Lakers Celtics. I do agree. A Lakers Celtics finals in this moment would be the biggest NBA finals ever, like TV wise, ratings wise, anything.
I will say though,
imagine that
Lakers would still have to get past the Thunder. Well, let's not just pretend that the Thunder don't exist. And Luka has already established a rivalry with the Thunder.
They have the Thunder killer now.
They do. They do have the.
Did you hear Shannon Sharp say today that it was going to be Thunder Lakers in the Western Conference Final, and the Lakers were going to go to the finals?
I think
what a crazy take by Shannon Sharp. Why? Way to step off on the ledge, Shannon Sharp. Wow.
If you were asking me today, I would still pick Thunder Celtics to be our NBA finals.
You're not taking your Cavs from what you've seen so far this year.
Here, can I tell you my main concern that will remain for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Sure. Darius Garland is going to get targeted and taken off the court in a series against the Celtics.
But you got another offensive weapon now in Hunter.
I agree, but I haven't seen it against the Celtics yet.
I know you haven't. Well, the Hawks play pretty well against the Celtics.
I know. DeAndre Hunter has done it. Listen, the Hunter thing is nice because it's everything they needed in a way to act into one guy.
And he's got size too, isn't he? 6'8".
He's like 6'8", yeah.
Yeah.
He was playing some 4 the other night. Last night too, next to Mobley and Allen, and they fucking cooked last night. That team came out flying. The Cavs.
Mobley's so good this year.
But Boston still scares me though, because Boston can match everything they can do, and even with Hunter, Tatum and Brown just defensively. It's really the Garland thing worries me a lot. I don't know if Garland can be on the floor, and I don't know if they're at their best when Garland's not on the floor.
I agree with that, but you're really not picking the Cavs right now.
No, I'm still picking Celtics. I told Johnny that last week. Celtics Thunder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case the casuals aren't paying attention to, this is the time of year where Horford, Hauser, and all the other role players are just fully on.
Yeah, they're in the cryo chamber right now, loading up an All-Star weekend, and then
Hauser went 5 of 8 from 3
That was
last
just
night. Horford had 16 and 10. Peyton Pritchard had 10 rebounds. So
Peyton Pritchard's so fun to watch, man. He's so I know it sounds like a broken record every time we bring up his name, but he's a joy to watch.
It's awesome. Tatum's been doing his thing, but yeah, dude, I need the ECF Cavs Celtics because we were kind of robbed of what that series even looked like last year because of the injuries.
Cavs, Celtics, and Lakers Thunder would move me. I would be.
Oh, that's the NBA's dream Final Four right there.
That's our dream. I think that's everybody's dream, except Knicks. I mean, they would be happy if the Knicks are involved, though. If the Knicks are involved, you get to just jump on the New York momentum and go.
Probably Knicks Boston, right? Just because of the market.
The Cavs are going to be the one that get fucked out of here, as if they have a choice. They'd be like, we don't care about Team Cleveland.
Right.
Okay, see you later. Like they're pissed that Celtics Knicks series is going to be 2-3 at this moment. I'm sure.
We can't put the Cavs, even though it's Eastern Conference Finals on NBA TV.
Cavs, you sure you don't want to pick somebody? You want to pick to play somebody? We'll let you do anybody.
You know what's terrifying is we got the best player in the NBA just flying under the radar on the Nuggets, while they're one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now.
And that's what we're all aligned. I think that the Nuggets are still the biggest threat to Oklahoma City, even if we're excited about the Lakers right now.
Right. But that's the thing. No one's talking about the Nuggets. And also, too, Dunny, I know we talked about the Celtics, but it feels like for a defending champ with the roster they have, they're kind of flying under the radar, too. Everyone's talking about the Thunder, the Cavs. Obviously, the Lakers made big splashes, and the Celtics are just the same team as last year.
It's just because right around Christmas and into the new year, they had like that weird slump where they went 4-4 in those 8 games. Drew's been banged up here and there. But yeah, I like the spot the Celtics are in.
No, I would love it.
I think you're in a good spot. Should we spin the wheel?
The win, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Just last thing while you're pulling it up, the win in MSG against the Knicks, down 2 starters the other night when Tatum had 40. That was like, okay, everything's all right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were waiting for February to really start turning up. I think that was the smart thing to do. Like you're not a team that they could have won 70 games this year. I'm sure they're not a team that needs to. That's what scares me, Steve. This is a battle tested team.
Yeah, you're right.
Been through the wars. We'll see.
Philly's fucking 20-32. Jesus.
20-32 is crazy.
New Orleans is 12-41. Can you imagine that roster coming into this year being like, they'll be 12-41?
I was thinking about that today. Imagine they get Cooper Flag, just the Zion and Cooper Flag.
Well, I told you, Dunny. After being in New Orleans for a week, they got to get Zion out of there. There's going to be the wheel. Shout out the wheel. There's no way. There's no way. That is unbelievable. The wheel.
If you're just listening, you're not watching on YouTube or Twitter or anything right now, or X, excuse me. We spun the wheel as we were saying the New Orleans Pelicans. It landed on the New Orleans Pelicans.
That's scary.
And this is good because I almost pivoted to this as my 3 big thing. Yeah, just the fact that I looked at the record and their percentage chance to get the number 1 pick today, and saw that they have the second highest odds to get the number 1 pick. Like this team could be adding Cooper Flag.
Yeah, they could be adding Cooper Flag, and like I said, like the Zion weight, I get it. Zion Gumbo's good. Gumbo is really, really good. Like I get it, Zion. But if we're talking about this Pelicans team, 12-41 is crazy. When you look at that record, you almost think like, this is a team that's kind of in trouble. Well, they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year. That's first. Brandon Ingram's gone, so now you kind of focus on the core you have. We talked about DeJounte Murray. We talked about McCollum. We talked about Zion. A guy who hasn't been talked about at all, who scored multiple 40-point games, who is one of my favorite young players in basketball. We've talked about him. Trey Murphy, man, is turning into a star. Trey Murphy is turning into a star before our eyes. He's 6'8". He's a stretch wing. The man can shoot. The man can play D. He's got a giant wingspan, and he is an absolute bucket. And if you're talking about Dunny, a guy who kind of plays similar to him in college, who can't be the number one pick with Cooper Flagg. I mean, if you're looking at the Pelicans, and if they do get the number one pick and they do get Cooper Flagg, to pair with Trey Murphy, and we'll see what they do with the guard situation with DeJounte Murray and McCollum, see what they do there. They don't even have to commit to Zion.
No.
They could try to get a package for Zion or something like that. The future's actually kind of bright in New Orleans. I love Herb Jones too, but Trey Murphy, we talked about kind of Jalen Johnson. We talked about Peyton Pritchard. We brought up a lot of names, DeAndre Hunter, as names of most improved player of the year. Trey Murphy might just run away with it. The dude's averaging 22 points now, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 47% from the floor. He's shooting well from 3. This is a guy who's an absolute bucket, and he's playing his best basketball currently. I'm going real quick through his game log for you guys, just points alone. Trey Murphy, 23, 20, 25, 41, 40, 32, and then, 14, 16, 22, 24, 19, 24, 32, 30, 22, 17, 34. This guy's scoring like a superstar.
Yeah.
He's averaging almost 27 points a game the past 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's just not a peep out of him because the Pelicans are 12-41.
Yeah, and he's and that's what's tough because it's not like they're at least a middling team. Like they're that bad. And obviously it's because of, the way their season started with all the injuries. But just, looking at a box score for a guy like that is just it's not doing it justice. Like he's a guy who he has the Ant Edwards confidence and energy when you watch him play. He put a 40 piece on the defending champs, the Boston Celtics, and I was obviously watching that game closely. And it was fucking frustrating because you're like, all right, we should smoke this Pelicans team, but a guy like that keeps them in it, and he should be more of their future plans than Zion. Obviously, they're probably going to get a top 5 pick here. Whether it's Dylan Harper, they want to pair an explosive guard with a guy like this. If they don't decide to go Flagg, or if they don't get the number 1 pick, that's not a bad option either. So yeah, it's tough. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it would suck for Murray, but I wouldn't be surprised if they move off DeJounte Murray, even though he just got there. And I don't know if they were just saying this to say this, but they said CJ and Zion were untouchables at the trade deadline. So maybe they keep those 2 guys and try to work around the other things. But
CJ just doesn't fit the timeline for this team with his age. He's 33. CJ doesn't really fit the timeline. Trey Murphy's 24. He's 24 years old. Like I said, 6'8", athletic freak. He was a guy who was in the dunk contest. And we're talking about this guy as a bucket, as a volume shooter. I mean, this guy's kind of the total package. They also got Jordan Hawkins, who's 22 from UConn, who we've seen. They have a nice young core. It's a team where you look at 12-41 and disaster of a season because of mainly injuries, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
But there's a lot to like about this team going forward. There really is. Especially like you said, Dunny, even if they don't get Cooper Flagg, just having a top 5 pick.
Yeah. I just hope Zion figures it out. I just hope they can get a team around him and Zion can be good.
Gumbo.
Well, that's another thing. Zion's also 24. He's still super young.
I know, exactly.
He's still super young.
That's why just still time. Turn it around, man. You can have a nice late bloom and have a nice career.
I tell you what, Zion, how about we do this? We do a meal plan, me and Zion. Zion orders the meal and I eat half. He can still eat half of what he wants, but I'll get some of the catfish. I'll get some of the jambalaya, the gumbo. Give me the crawfish. I'm good with it, Zion. I get it. I understand now why you're gaining weight in New Orleans.
Good stuff.
What if Nico Harrison takes over as GM of the Pelicans and he trades Zion Williamson
to the Lakers?
To the Lakers for Jackson Hayes.
Tony, we were having a nice conversation about the Pelicans. And then you bring up Nico?
I'm sorry. I had to do it. I just thought of Zion overweight getting traded for pennies on the dollar.
That's crazy, right? Crazy.
The wheel is...
The wheel's back.
Wheel was on it. What was the wheel last week? What I missed the wheel go for?
No, we saved it for you.
We saved it.
Oh,
Yeah.
The wheel knew.
That's why I think, I think we obeyed saving it for you, and then it was like, all right, fucking right on cue. Here,
He's talking about the
team you just
Pelicans.
talked
Let
about.
him keep going.
Crazy. Love you, Will.
Great episode, guys.
Yeah, good stuff.
Steve, I'm glad you finally got to get that all off your chest. It was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, let's hope
Now you're a
that's the
Lakers
last
fan,
big
so
ring.
this is awesome. New world for you.
That's the thing too, right? It's like you guys know I'm a Rams fan. You know I love Kelsey Plum. Of course, Kelsey Plum goes to the Sparks. And then last night, you got to pull at my heartstrings. The guy I did content with at New Orleans, you're doing a Luka jersey swap. I was like, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. I don't have a choice. Dunny's shaking his head. I don't care. Go LA.
Dodgers.
Go Lakers.
Dodgers, Kings.
Dodgers just MLB get a salary cap. I'm tired of it. Like, there's a lot of players I like on the Dodgers, but
so still Cardinals. Stay with the Cardinals.
Yeah, we're Cardinals. We're Cardinals. Cardinals are just
what Kings? You can even go Ducks.
No, I'm a Sharks guy.
Oh,
I'm a Sharks guy. Remember? I'm a Sharks guy. Sharks. Oh my God, maybe the worst team I ever.
Cardinals, Rams, Lakers. That's not a bad mix.
I know. I'm a Cali guy now. I hate it. I hate it so much. But like that Luka Puka jersey swap, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Really?
That's all you need.
That's all I need. That's all I needed. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let's go win a ship, boys.
I believe it is March 8th. Lakers at Celtics. Saturday night basketball on ABC.
Oh.
Yeah. That'll be good. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Is that telling you where that game is, Jake?
In Boston.
Might be hitting the piggy bank up for that
one.
Oh,
I knew it.
I think you should.
How much do you think tickets would be for that? That's got to be.
I'll look right now.
I know. I've been thinking about it for Lakers at Bulls, and that even in itself is like $150 right now.
Mm-hmm.
See the Lakers coming into town.
Let's see, March 8th, Lakers price low to high. Yeah, 366 is the cheapest on the TD Garden.
That's only going to go up too.
Only
That's crazy.
That's gonna need a bigger piggy
playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, maybe we'll set it for on March 5th. Blazers Celtics.
Nice. Blazers have been kind of fun lately.
The difference there, cheapest ticket $51.
Okay,
yeah,
there we go. All right, here we go.
Scoot Henderson, it is. Who needs it?
There you go.
We got Luka at home.
Don't you dare ever say that again. That is. I mean, Luka at home. Respect Scoot. I like Scoot. You know I like the Blazers.
The funniest thing is West Coast. We got Luka at home, and now it's just we got Luka on the bench.
Did you guys?
Nico's brainwashed us all, man.
Now they got Connect back. Did you see the meme of the Pokemon evolution of Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and it was Connect, Reeves, Luka. They're like LeBron got his final evolution.
It's like the Sengun, Sabonis, Jokic.
Yep, pretty much.
All right.
We just gotta cut the pot at this point. Yeah, we're just rambling at.
Great show.
Thanks for listening, guys. Shout out Trainwreck Sports. Shout out the Lakers. And we'll see you guys next week.
He just said shout out the Lakers. What